Welcome to this installment of the Soy Checkoff Check-In. I'm your host, Chip Flory. We are talking soil health and crop nutrition with Gary Berg. Gary is a farmer in Illinois, has been a United Soybean Board farmer leader for 7 years, and serves as the Health and Nutrition Priority Area Coordinator. Gary's also on the Value Alignment Committee. Busy guy, Gary. Welcome to the Soy Checkoff Check-In.
Well, thank you, Chip.
Before we get into the details of exactly what you're doing there, give me a harvest report. Did the corn and soybean crops live up to those lofty Illinois expectations this year?
Well, in our area, we were really dry at the end of when soybeans really need to have some water to finish. Our early beans were good, and I'm hearing that from the other farmers. The earlier the beans were planted, the better they did. And the later you got, which we got a lot of rain there in the spring, so we had a lot of late beans. They looked like a lot better beans than what they ended up doing. But I mean, I'm not complaining that they were in that 50 bushel range, and we just finished day before yesterday our double crop soybeans, and they looked like 50 bushel beans and ended up making around 40, which really for a double crop after 100 bushel wheat, can't complain about that.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Okay, so Gary, when the harvest wraps up, work starts on the next year's crop. There's no question about that. What do you do after harvest to assess soil health?
Well, us in particular, we have an independent outfit that we're on a rotation of at least every 3, sometimes every 2 years. We'll have our soil tested in 3 to 4 acre grids. And, a lot of farmers do that, but that's the only way you can see where you're at nutrient wise. And, again, like I said, our cover crop, a lot of guys are trying to cover crop and in partnerships with different outfits that gives them a chance to take a look at cover crops and also make a little extra revenue while they're doing it.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about your role as the Checkoff's Health and Nutrition Priority Area Coordinator. And when you're doing that, talk about the USB investments that farmers can use to improve plant and soil health in the year ahead.
One investment that we have made at USB along with other state soybean boards is research on how to retain more soybean blossoms, especially during stressful periods. That's a long-term project. It's not going to happen overnight, but my goodness, if you can retain more of those blossoms, we're looking at some varieties that could get maybe a 30% bump in yield. Another thing just current that I might mention, so a few of us are going to have a virtual meeting here. One of the things that we'll be talking about is in the South, they've had some issues with what they call red crown rot in soybeans. Yeah. That is working its way into the Midwest. We don't have any ourselves. At least I'm not aware that we have any ourselves, but I've heard of a few people in the area that have had. So we'll be discussing, is this something that USB should be jumping on right now, or is it something that we should filter back to the committees to have a few more people discussing how big of an issue it is? So things like that is what USB is there to coordinate with the state soybean boards, what research they've done on issues like red crown rot, and hopefully we come up with the best answer.
Yeah. Excellent, Gary. Interesting conversation. It's always interesting when we're talking about plant health and so on. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
Oh, you bet.
All right. That is Gary Berg. Gary is a 7-year USB farmer leader, and he's the coordinator of the Health and Nutrition Priority Area, and he's a member of the Value Alignment Committee. And we can't forget, Gary's also an Illinois farmer. That wraps up this Soy Checkoff Check-In. You can learn more about the investments being made on your farm by the United Soybean Board at unitedsoybean.org. I'm your host, Chip Flory. Now, let's get back to AgriTalk.